Hello everyone, how's it going? I am the Average Guy 1983. Thank you very much for tuning into this really fun video that we're going to be doing today. In today's video, I'm going to be testing out the power rating of the HD750/1 by JL Audio with my 13-year-old 12W7 Anniversary Edition. That's box has seen better days, but I mean, what do you expect from a 13-year-old subwoofer box and subwoofer, right? So anyways, it's been really reliable. I've been using it off and on for many years, and I have the AD1 here plugged in, so you guys can see the testing for today. I wanted to do some music for you guys, but because of copyrighted issues, I'm going to skip that part and just go straight to the testing after I show you guys what I have underneath the hood. So again, special thanks to the homie Digging Low for providing the feedback on making this video. This video especially for you, my friend. So hope the rest of you guys enjoy what the real power rating is. So this is going to be a first time for me and you. So let's get to the intro. Let's go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and get started with this video. Again, I apologize for any background noise. It's out of my control, man. I live in a next to a commercial street, technically, even though my street is residential, but the next street after that is commercial. A lot of cars pass by, so you're going to hear exhaust sounds from motorcycles, helicopters, all kinds of crap. So again, I am sorry. This is just unfortunately out of my control. But let's get to this here. This battery is a AAA premium branded battery. It does up to 70 amps of current, or it does 70 amps of current. The stock alternator in this Ford Flex is a 175 amp hour alternator, and it is using the 4/0 wire that you see here from the alternator positive line all the way to the battery. It's unfused, but it's unfused because the stock wire is also unfused on this Ford Flex. I've already talked to several technicians that have already done oil changes on my car. Nothing has been voided warranty wise. They said the same thing. They said the way I actually have everything connected, it's perfect. It looks professional, and I'm really glad to hear that from them. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I was really happy to hear that. So this is my big 4 upgrade. I'm gonna show you guys right now. 4/0 wire from the alternator positive side to the battery. These two right here are also 4/0 wires. This is a ground 4/0 from the alternator assembly or chassis to the battery, right? And then from the negative battery post here, I have another one that goes to the stock location over here on this side of the ground stock location. Okay, right here, this is my third ground point, which makes it the big 4. You can see the cable here. I have this connected to the engine block, and from the engine block to the last point that I have here of a stock ground location. I'm not really sure where this leads to be honest, but I went ahead and I did that extra since that's all I can find within the engine bay. But it's been doing really good. I haven't been having any ground issues. Everything's been working great. So now that I have that done, let's go ahead and show you the fuse side. Okay, so right here we have the positive battery side with a 4/0 wire connected to this end here, and it's to an SMD fuse holder. This is a rebranded ceramic 500 amp fuse from SMD, and it's connected to another 4/0 wire from here into the inside of the car. The reason why I did this was because I wanted to make sure that I would get the most power possible getting into the inside of the car and future-proof my audio system should I want to change something. Again, the idea of this audio system was mainly aimed at SQ / kind of like daily listening system for a family car. So that was my priority when I did this system here. All right, so now that I'm done showing you guys all of this, I'm gonna give you guys the RMS test with the AMM-1 and the 12W7 subwoofer. I did want to let you guys know that my HD750 amp and my 12W7 are 13 years old. I bought them back in 2011, so I have no idea if the performance that we're both about to see for the first time is going to be affected based on the age of the amplifier and subwoofer, or if it's really dependent on the ohm load. But I will link a video from Tony Demore of him explaining how the audio system works. Considering that he did a test of his Rockford Fosgate T2500.1 BD that can do 2500 watts minimum, he got actually 1160 something watts out of his system in his car, and he had multiple batteries and all kinds of other stuff in his car, very well fixed up. So that was about, I'm gonna say like 60% efficient. So I'm expecting similar numbers on my end for my amp, but we won't be able to determine that until we see the results. So let's warm up the amplifier, let's warm up the subwoofer, and get it to normal operating temperatures before we do the RMS test and give you guys my final thoughts on the entire project. Let's go. All right, so real quick, I went ahead and I already connected the SMD AMM-1, and it's really simple to connect. All you have to do is connect the positive wire or the negative wire lead from your subwoofer box into the hole that's here in the middle, and the little red and black cable that are at the top, which are the leads, you connect it to the positive side on the red side and the negative side of your speaker cable on the negative side. This is just to be able to determine, like, if you actually had these leads connected directly to the speaker outputs of your amplifier, but instead it's in your speaker cable, which makes it much easier without you having to go into where your amp is located and actually try to do stuff. I want you to again focus on the ohm load of the subwoofer fluctuating versus an AD1 that actually has those load resistors that are at a solid 2 ohm, 1 ohm, or 4 ohm load, and gives you what the amplifier would technically get if the subwoofer didn't move at all and it remained at a 2, 3, or 4 ohm load. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on the AMM-1 by SMD, which is made by Tony Demore from Demore Engineering. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so firmware 3.93. I'm going to push the mode button and hold it until we get to real-time power. There we go, real-time power. All right, so here's what I want you guys to focus on. The ohm load fluctuating up and down where it says 1,000 ohms, and at the bottom, the watts RMS. This is really important for you to see. Why is it important? It is important because you need to find out that unlike an AD1 that tortures the amplifier to remain at a solid 2 ohm or 3 ohm or 4 ohm or 1 ohm load to get its max output, you're using this in real time. This is what your subwoofer is really outputting while the subwoofer is moving back and forth, which is the voice coil. When the voice coil moves back and forth like this, it's giving you a different ohm load, which then changes the power rating of the amplifier. So this amplifier does do its rated power, but I want to show you guys what it does when it's playing different frequencies. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started with this. Okay, now for the sake of the video and for my speakers, which are really expensive C7 speakers, I shut them all down with the tune software and the DSPs, and I only left the subwoofer on. Let's go ahead and start it. This is at volume number 20. This is my max setting. You will hear or see some clipping light. Ignore that while the thing is fluctuating on the device. So let's go for it. Here we go. Alright, so what you guys just seen there, as the ohm load fluctuates up and down, the power goes down and up, because the higher the ohm load on this subwoofer, on this amp specifically, the lower the wattage you're going to see. And the lower the ohm load, the higher the wattage you're going to see. You get me? So let me go ahead and play this one more time, and we're going to switch it to dyno mode. Alrighty, we are now in dyno power, and now we're going to see what this thing does and where it holds. Let's do this. All right, so I turned down the music so you guys can see. It seems like it peaked out at 540 watts at 4.7 ohms. The speaker is supposed to do 3 ohms. You're supposed to get 750 watts RMS at 3 ohms, 4 ohms, or 2 ohms, right? Think about it. This is 4.7 ohms, almost 5 ohms going into the amplifier, and you're getting 540 watts. Yes, there was a little bit of clipping because I do have a plus 10 dB overlap on this amplifier for the 10W6V3. So that one is a 2 ohm subwoofer versus the 12W7, which is a 3 ohm sub. But now you guys kind of have an idea of what this does power wise. Again, you've seen it doing better numbers while it was doing real-time music. This was not dyno testing, this was real-time music. So this is why when you play music versus just a regular sine wave like 40 hertz, 50 hertz, 60 hertz, why it sounds louder sometimes depending on what you're playing. So let me go ahead and wrap all of this up, and we'll go ahead and go to our final conclusion. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we're now at the ending of the video, so thank you so much for sticking around. Let's go ahead and talk about real quick about what I think about the amp rating. So considering this was my first time actually seeing the rating, I think it did pretty good. For a brief moment, we did see 745 watts RMS at 4.4 ohms, which is pretty good because the amplifier on their JL's website says that the amplifier can do 750 watts RMS at as little as 1.5 ohms to up to 4 ohms at its limit. So I think it was pretty good considering we went slightly over 4 ohms and it still did 745 watts RMS. That's just 5 watts off from the actual power rating. And again, it was for a brief moment because it was with real-time power. And it also depends on what frequency was playing at that time. So I like the idea of using music versus just pure sine waves and finding out what the amp can do, because depending on the sine wave, whether you're doing 40 hertz, 50, 60, 70, 80 hertz, the wattage is going to change. It's either going to go higher or it's going to go lower. So I rather just deal with music instead of damaging my subwoofer by just playing nothing but pure frequencies on it other than music. But I think it did really good for what it is. And again, remember, I was using the stock 175 amp alternator and a stock AAA premium branded battery that just does 70 amps of current. So I think it's really good for what it is. The only difference is that I do have that big 4-aught wire that I showed you guys underneath the hood, and I pretty much maxed out what my system can honestly do. Now, based on this test and considering that I mainly use this amp for my 10W6V3 in its little sealed enclosure, do I think that upgrading to a different amp would be ideal? Probably not. I'm still debating on whether I want to go with the VX1000/5i to switch over to VXI amplifiers and just have 2 amps instead of 4. And because like I question some of the testings that I did on the C7 door speakers, I probably will do a video in the future on that, but only if this video here gets a bunch of views and likes. But if it doesn't, then I'm just going to leave that information to myself, which I already know and I won't disclose anymore, because I had a lot of people talking down to me, telling me that I didn't know what I was doing, though I used this tool and I was able to get results with this tool. So again, under the description, I am going to put Tony Damore's video on how this tool is used, and he'll basically explain everything to you about how this tool works, and even why I got a maximum of 540 watts RMS at 4.7 ohms with the dyno testing on the AMM-1. So again, I do recommend this tool. I think this is a wonderful tool to have if you want to find out what your RMS is. If you do these dB drag stuff for SPL competitions, this would probably be a great tool. I do feel that it's really expensive for the average consumer, like the person that's not going to be doing testings all the time, and you may want to steer away from this. But if you're curious to find out if your system is doing rated power, even though it sounds like it is, you may want to get yourself one of these at the $500 price. So other than that, this concludes the video. So thank you all of you for tuning into the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace for now.